Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to more salsa and guacamole from Dr. Jet. I'm coming to you again from the mess hall because, quite frankly, it's cold out in the stink bug works, and it's much nicer here. Anyway, one of my viewers, Jim, and in fact, Jim is the whole moving force behind this. Jim remarked that he wasn't clear on something I said, so if there's at least, let me try that again. If there's at least one person that's confused over something I've said, that means there's got to be a whole lot more. Anyway, this is what I'm talking about. So here is essentially a top view of the 16-inch cat. Now remember, it's going to be built in three pieces: sponson, center section, sponson. So if you want to put on a foam top, because remember, this thing's going to look like a little aircraft carrier. If you want to put a foam top on to give it some character, some shape, you're going to need to be able to access the motor and batteries inside. So the idea was to build the sponsons like a rigger tub. And I would put, I called them lids, maybe hatches would have been a better word. But anyway, I'm going to make an opening with a lip on it and a plate that will go down over it and get taped up. If you're running the aircraft carrier version, it's just, flat thing and tape the thing up. If you're gluing foam blocks to it, this is what I would do. I would take a foam block before everything's glued together. When you just have the two sponsons, I'd take a foam block and I'd glue it here. And then I'd very carefully tack glue this foam block to just this hatch and just this hatch, set it in place, and then glue a third block of foam in there. Then as I'm sanding it, let's go back a step. So once the glue is dry, I'd pull this off. The hatches would then be attached on the bottom of this styrofoam. I'd paint a little bit of rubber cement on the styrofoam to stick it back in place. And then I'd do all the sanding and such. And all that sanding dust is going to go down in the split between these pieces. And then when you go to fiberglass the whole thing, don't blow out that thing. Put down a real light layer of 3/4 ounce cloth with just enough epoxy to stick it to the surface, not to soak out all that dust that's in the separating halves here. And then once the epoxy kicks off, just go with the tip of an X-Acto blade and cut the 3/4 ounce cloth and then get in underneath that rubber cement that's been holding everything on. You can even use rubber cement thinner. It will not attack the foam nor the fiberglass, and just a drop will get the whole thing loose. Then you pop that hatch off, and then you work on the epoxy covering and the epoxy and fiberglass. Then you work on the hatch separately, and then you would have essentially a taped down hatch that had these glued to the bottom of it. So that would index everything would index, and you would then be taping on this foam and going over onto the edge of the hull and taping that way. So that's how I planned to do it. So I'm going to build it the same way. It's going to be an aircraft carrier either way. One will be an aircraft carrier and the other will be an aircraft carrier with a shaped deck. And that way, like I said, you can do anything you want. You can do a twin bubble canopy. You can do an open cockpit kind of thing. You could do a Godzilla head. So that might be kind of fun, leaving some options to the builder. You could style it the way you want. And as a design statement, it's kind of like me saying, nothing is necessary above this line. It doesn't need anything above this line. You can put something there if you want, but it doesn't need it. So I hope this clarifies how I was thinking on this. I'm still starting the geometry on the motor mount. I'm wondering how I'm going to transfer all these different views to establish the intersection of planes that aren't parallel to any axis. I'll work on that. Until next time, jet out.